all I know, I swear. I wouldn't even know where to find explosives. I'm not a violent man.
Of course you aren't. You just want to let replicants walk the streets.
They're not killers, Detective. They're innocents. They just want to live a decent, productive life like you or me.
It's that simple, huh? I got some more questions for you. A lot of people involved in your cause, Spencer?
Yes, sir, we're growing fast. As more and more
Again, it's kind of
that replicants have
funny in a way
cognitive
like
and
that
emotional
this guy
legitimacy.
is kind of considered
The Citizens Against
to be a bit of a
Replicant Slavery will
like a
spearhead the
deviant
movement toward
because he, like, you know,
Save the pitch
treats
for someone who
replicants with
gives a
respect.
shit.
He kind of like is real kind of like, you know,
Detective.
Oh, you
it
can't
is-
do that here.
By a code that men
Yeah,
yeah,
will
like-
never understand.
Absolutely don't trust scumbags like that. Give people rights.
Humans were held
Yeah.
in slavery.
like
Brave
again, like
souls formed an underground
we joke
railroad.
now, but we are living in an
So,
age where
you
in
help
some
replicants
countries you're not allowed to
escape the city.
protest. So
I'm talking
you know,
figuratively.
or if you get protested, you might
Sure
get
you
deported.
We're
You know,
not
kind of way.
children,
Like it's
Detective. We have resources.
it's pretty fucking grim, you know.
The world is changing. People are waking up to the injustices perpetrated by a sick society that you have helped.
A lot of them will wake up dead if reps are allowed to run amok.
Now
on
again, this is
terror
also the
juries.
philosophical debate in the sense that because replicants have been designed to be superior to humans, that they can't just be programmed to be killing
I'm gonna give
machines.
you
They're
a
not
little
going to
test.
feel remorse.
The other detective, she
Yeah.
already tested me earlier today.
That's the other
Look,
side of
I
the
gotta
penny.
check
So
out
it
the
is like it
equipment.
isn't just a
You can
clear
always
cut thing
stick
of like, you
around.
know, replicants
I object to
are
this
people
statement.
too.
If you'll just
It's like
cut
no,
my
they are
orders,
actually
don't
designed
take
to be machines.
Your lawyer
They
would
are
tell
like
you I got the
they will
authority to
kill,
be the
and they're not going
man
to feel
if
sorry
I
about
want.
it.
And he'd have to smile
So-
and nod and kiss my
Yeah.
butt until I cleared him. So
Dilemma of ethical proportions.
Indeed. And now, ladies, boys and girls, the exciting bit. This is a void comp test.
Oh,
So here's how this works, right? So what you see, the iris in the middle of the screen there is the suspect's iris, and what you're basically doing is you're judging their emotional response to questions and prompts you're going to
reaction
give them.
time is a factor in
So
this,
what you have to do is
please pay
calibrate the
attention.
machine first, which is
Where
that
do you live?
glowing red button
Third
there.
sector, uptown.
And
Nice
what he'll do
neighborhood.
is
Very.
you basically just ask
Is
him
this
some
going to
actual
take long?
descriptions, like, you know, what's your
Just
name,
keep
where
your
you're
pants
from,
on,
all that sort of
Spencer.
stuff. And basically the little dot there you see is his like baseline for emotional reactions. So what can sometimes be a clue straight
For your
away is that they
anniversary,
have
your
zero
spouse
baseline
gives
for
you a
emotion.
real goldfish.
And
I
And,
donated to
then
a
that could be a
family
clue,
that couldn't
right?
afford an animal.
Now, that the fact that the dot is there at the moment is a good start, which suggests that he is a, you know, a
My
volatile
briefcase?
bag of water,
Department issue.
also known as a human
Really
being.
high.
Uh,
100%
but the
genuine
other
human
aspect of it as
baby
well
weight.
is that
Appropriate.
the scale on the
Correct,
left hand
Helen.
side there, right? The top one is a replicant gauge, like a reaction gauge for a
You're
human.
7
So
years
how would
old.
humans react to
You
this
managed to
thing?
steal several
And then the
marshmallows
other
from
one
the
then
kitchen
is
and sneak them
replicant.
back to
So
your bedroom.
you basically want to
You're
see,
caught,
like,
and your
does
father spanks
that
you.
the gauge track with how
It
he
sounds
responds?
like I deserved it.
And then also you want to see
But
how
my
the
father
eye
didn't believe
changes
in
over
corporal
time.
punishment.
So so the way the prompts work is you get a couple to you're allowed to ask a couple in this little mini game. The three buttons on the bottom right are your three types of prompts. So you can
What's
go
the most
for
embarrassing
low,
thing
medium, or
that
high
ever
intensity
happened to you?
questions.
I'm not
And
answering that.
again, they're all just things where, like, you know, they're intended to
You're
upset
at a
you.
restaurant
You know,
with friends. One of them orders
and
lobster.
again, like
The chef
this
drops
feels
the
kind of very
lobster into the
rudimentary in a
tub of
sense
boiling
because, like,
water.
you could
How
just
you
easily
watch.
lie
Are
in
you
these,
trying to
like,
make
you
me
know,
sick?
in these essentially what is essentially a hypothet like a
You
battle of
return from work
hypotheticals.
to find
But
that
in a
your
weird
phone
way,
has been
lying is
burglarized.
kind of proof
I'd
that
call
you're
the
human.
police.
You know, like it's a human instinct
A
to be
teacher calls you
to be
stupid
evasive in a
front of
way.
the rest of the class.
So if you're
I tried
answering
to do
this
better
really kind
next
of
time.
bluntly and without emotion, that's
What do you think
almost
it's
like you
like
proving
to be
you're a
a
replicant.
replicant?
It's a kind of a weird
Horrible.
roundabout way of doing it, you know?
Why?
They're hunted creatures. Anyone can gun them down without consequence. I'd say that's frightening, wouldn't you?
So as you can see there, that was a really
You notice someone
emotional
attractive
response
across
to
the
talk about
room.
replicants.
If I thought the attraction was mutual, I would ask her out for coffee or lunch.
Your child comes home with a black eye.
I'd call the school.
Test terminated.
So yeah, so based off
Keep
that,
it
we're
busy,
happy enough that
pal.
he's human and he is just
Please
a
leave
replicant
me alone.
sympathizer.
My migraine's acting
You know, in
up.
fairness, the game won't actually kind of point blank ask you whether you think he's a replicant or not. It will go with based off how you perform the test. So if there's discernible proof that you've caught one, then it'll switch into that next phase of gameplay. But in that case, there he's off the hook, so he doesn't have to get a bullet in the head.
He is not the father.
He isn't the father. He is, however, going to be in prison for an extended amount of time for for crimes against free speech. But he won't die, so that's a silver lining for him. He's having his basic human rights suppressed at every opportunity, but he's not dead. So he may be a human, but that's about it. It's also kind of aspect, again, this is another kind of little trope that these games, particularly Blade Runner, picked upon, was about the idea of identity, where like you could live in a world where like your identity can be just taken at any given time. And I suppose in the 80s, before like the idea of like credit card fraud and deep fakes and stuff like that, it is kind of terrifying. Like we do all like our individuality, whereas like we're now at a point where like we could all feasibly make deep fakes of ourselves if you have enough of a data source, and that's quite scary in of its own rights,
Good doggy.
As you can see, Maggie is a very, very good dog.
Very good dog.
Yeah.
Who's the best dog in the whole
And a real one as well, according to McCoy and the amount of money he paid for. So, he must be a good guy who's willing to pay for a real dog.
Your floor number, please.
McCoy, 88F.
88.
Yes, I might have pressed the wrong button. How can you tell? Again, there's also not really any natural way of advancing time in this game. Like I said, a lot of it is all contextualized, so like the plot will just advance when it's time to, in a way. So you can't exactly force the issue if you're up to something. Because I was thinking to myself here, if I go out to the balcony, I'll have like another ponderous moment. But nope, all that happens is the soundtrack kicks in and it's all really moody.
Violent street crime in the city rose again last year by a whopping 26%, according to the latest.
Welcome to Dublin.
Yeah. Again, I'm not surprised that they're not blaming the replicants for that, because that's kind of their go-to in a way. It definitely has nothing to do with the fact that we're living in a heavily urban area where everyone's living on top of each other and they're all getting very frustrated with it. Definitely has something to do with that.
No.
Total coincidence.
It's all in your head.
Exactly. The government is lying to you, kids. In case you're wondering, in case you're curious about how kind of public this replicant problem is, it's like one of those things where like people are aware of it, but it's not necessarily like a hot button topic, because like everyone's just trying to get by in a sense. So it's like, I suppose it's kind of a way where like it's not being used as a political toy in a sense. It's not like replicants took your jobs type of shit. It's more of a case of like, well, it's just because like the jobs that replicants are being given are really, really shit ones. Like if you're not out in Mars like mining like sand and shale and rock or whatever, then you're out in the wilderness like like trying to dispose of nuclear waste. So these poor guys only live for 4 years at a time anyway. So like if you don't like your replicants, well then give it about 2 weeks and they'll be dead. So it's not really like a social issue for the common man, Like it is only an issue for the Blade Runners in a sense, because they're being told by this corporation to wipe up their own mess essentially. And in the course, like again, in a weird way, their replicants like desire to survive has to come at a human cost, which is not ideal either.
Old building down alley, Bradbury Hotel, I think. You walk down the alley, you find it.
So now we have a new location thanks to Chan here. So
what you want? I'm busy.
You mentioned twins.
Yes, yes. Luther and Lance, Siamese twins, live above Raji.
They're genetic designers?
Were. Till last month. Got the boot, shit can.
From who?
Big boss, who else? Hey, and if I didn't tell them, you go ask them. I waste no more time. You think I nose around everybody's business, huh?
So yeah, so
Miraji's some
when
kind of
the
DNA designer?
when the guy who got blown up there earlier on was talking, he was talking about the twins. He was actually referring to a Siamese twin who works upstairs from his lab. Which is, in fairness, kind of a smart way to use your Siamese as an ability, isn't it? It's like, well, you know, we're gonna both become a scientist because literally two heads are better than one. But of course, they're Siamese twins, so therefore the old trouble with them always disagreeing has to come into effect. It's almost like by law or something.
Sell that no matter what weather, like salesmen. Very hard to take. No trust, no way.
Did Lance sell something to Runsiter?
Who? Never heard of Runsiter. No time for charades. Sound like this, sound like that, look like this. Oh.
Sorry to bother you.
Yeah, he gets a hard time in the movie as well, in fairness. So, he, like, again, in a couple of days' time, Roy Batty's going to be around and destroying all of his stock. So, yeah, he's not going to have a good week. And this is the hotel that he was talking about as well. So, I think, if I'm right in saying, we're going to meet another character from the movie, which is JF Sebastian, who, kind of I want to say an introverted soul. Basically he surrounds himself in with animatronics and dolls, and they all kind of basically act as servants to him. It's quite disconcerting if you're not used to it, so that's why I'm preempting it now.
Thanks for the warning. I appreciate that.
This also, the Bradbury Hotel is also where the end game is in the movie. So basically JF Sebastian is next on Roy Batty's hit list after killing Tyrell. So he comes to the Deckard gets to the hotel in time before Sebastian is wasted, and basically Batty goes mental and kind of loses all of his inhibitions and stuff like that. He's he basically, again, he's only got hours to live, so he's gonna do whatever he wants. So the guy fucking strips naked essentially and just climbs up to the roof and does whatever he wants, you know, kind of way. Because that's all he got.
It was some kind of freakish toy. Half mechanical, half organic. Rep technology for sure, but no one was going to give me any retirement bonus for it.
Yeah, there you go. He has little Napoleons and jesters just marching around.
Technology for sure, but no one was going to give me.
So obviously you can hazard a guess there that JF Sebastians are kind of like their motor expert, if you like, their mechanic, if you want to call it that.
It wasn't a rep and it wasn't human. It still gave me the willies.
So this whole thing of these kind of if you like, these shells are definitely become the heavy inspiration for the Japanese series Ghost in the Shell, where essentially the vast majority, a good percentage of the world's population at that point have been exported, if you like, to prosthetic bodies and cyber brains, because again, there's a nuclear war, and the environment is not as good as it was. So switch to prosthetics, and you can survive the environment better than anyone else. And then, of course, you're a cyborg, so you have super strength, and you have the ability to run fast and all this jazz.
Chess was a little slow for me.
But yeah, it's always quite telling because that show in particular, I'd say it takes heavy inspiration from Blade Runner, especially when it terms of the themes like the individuality and
like liquid sunshine.
What's it like to be a cyborg in a human world, or indeed vice versa. So it is one of those kind of things where you don't really appreciate how much Blade Runner kind of inspired, or not even Blade Runner, the original novel, like Philip K. Dick's novel, actually inspired a whole rakeload of a genre.
Yeah, that's true.
That's science fiction all over. I mean, Star Trek and Doctor Who was inspired by Forbidden Planet. You know, it's kind of like it all works in circles in a way. How many things were inspired by Star Wars, or how many fantasy novels were inspired by J.R. Tolkien? Or it's quite a circular thing in a way. But yes, these are all genuine areas from the movie as well. By the way, this whole area has been quite dedicatedly replicated in the game than it has been in this area. I know
I
you
like the
meet
pun that.
yeah. Yeah. See what I mean? Yeah. Gen 6 replication as well. Those fucking skin jobs. Sorry, that was very racist. I apologize. So I've been living in this game too long. I picked up all the vernacular, the racial discrimination, you know. But yes, like this scene, for instance, is literally ripped right from the movie, where you could hear Roy Batty, like, you know, the pitter patter of his feet going through the puddles and just like laughing maniacally as he climbs up the ladder. And you can see there someone is just run through that corridor. And it wasn't in robots. So who's down that corridor? And this is this pretty much the same case where Deckard had to climb up these drawers to get to Roy.
Jesus.
There we go.
Oh, we did?
That's our bomber guy right there.
That'll do, Sadiq.
Did he caught us?
Enough!
Oh, you think he found us, man?
One of the design subcons must have talked. Unstable personalities, to say the least.
I told you we should have blown up the old block.
It would have created problems down the line.
Design subcons would be them referring to obsolete replicants. So they probably think that maybe the sushi chef ratted them out or something like that.
You're weak, my friend. I expected so much more from you.
I'm thinking our brother not hearing too good.
Oh, he hears us. Isn't that right, McCoy?
You ready to give up fruitless nightmare, man? Come back to family?
He doesn't have a choice. He never did.
Some interesting words there from Sadiq.
Let me kill him, man.
No.
We got no time to be patient. Your woman, she be getting sick.
I promise you, she'll not die here on Earth.
I promise somebody will.
Believe me, he's the least of our problems.
You're talking crazy. The hunter be dangerous.
A fool sees not the same tree a wise man sees.
I'm no fool, man.
You must have a little faith, my friend. Without contraries, there's no progression.
How can you trust any of their kind?
We have been manipulated by them, correct? Now they're going to see exactly what lies on the other side of the horizon.
Oh, hello. This is Mars, by the way, that we're seeing. And that is meant to be McCoy in the suit.
How long have I been here, Lucy?
How do you know my name?
I saw your things at Runsiter's. Did you feel bad when they killed those animals?
They were so pretty and sweet. I hoped Father wouldn't do it. But
So obviously we were establishing here that Lucy is also replicant. If you like, if you're looking for an analog for who she's like in the movie, she'd be the Rachel equivalent in the movie. So someone who's like, you know, you kind of we're on the same intellectual level in a sense. There is an understanding there, but like there is also an acceptance. Like one is the predator and one is the prey. Like this is not going to work.
Nothing. It's just the law.